What's going on, everybody? This is 4 Wheel Finance, and in this video I'll be breaking down how much you need to make in order to afford a 2023 Porsche Cayenne. How do you guys say it? I say Porsche, some people say Porsche, but I'm not that fancy, so I just say Porsche. I think you should really consider following one of these rules in order to avoid making a huge car buying mistake that's going to end up setting you back for years down the road, especially if you're a young person. I've also got a link down there to a free auto insurance quote where you can save up to about $600 a year in the description below. It takes like 20 seconds to fill out, but more on that later. There are 4 options I'll be going over today. You can decide on which one suits you the best depending on how into cars you are and your preference and situation. Some people want a reliable form of transportation, something cheap that's just going to take them from point A to point B. Then you got the car people out there willing to spend a lot more, sacrifice a lot more in order to get the car that they really want to. Neither is right, but you should really stick to a couple guidelines for either one. This is 4 Wheel Finance, a channel dedicated to helping you make smart car buying and financial decisions. Before I dive into the first rule, these videos take quite a lot of time and effort to make. Please give it a like, subscribe, comment down below what other vehicles that you would like me to review. First rule I'll be going over today is pretty popular. It's called the 24-10 rule, and this states that you should put at least 20% down on the car. You shouldn't finance it for more than 4 years or 48 months. And the payment shouldn't be more than 10% of your monthly gross income. Since the 2023 Porsche Cayenne's got an estimated MSRP of about $72,000, you'd need to put down $14,440. And with the average new vehicle interest rate of 3.86% with a 48-month term, this would bring your monthly payment to $1,300. It's quite a lot right there. Take note that you're also paying about $4,600 in interest. Bank rate states that the average monthly insurance cost is about $148 a month, but this varies a ton from person to person. How old you are, your driving habits, your driving history, your gender, everything like that, the kind of car that you're insuring. So use that smart financial link I've got down there in the description. See exactly how much it would cost for you to insure something like this, or if you just want to lower your own personal car insurance. This brings your monthly total to $1,448. Going back to that 24-10 rule, given your monthly cost is $1,448, you'd need a monthly gross income of $14,485, which would add up to about $173K a year annually. I really encourage you to take a look at the opportunity cost here. If you were to buy a cheaper $10,000 car or even a $5,000 car in cash and put what would be your car payment of $1,300 in the market instead, over the course of 5 years with a conservative 6% rate of return, this would turn into about $90,000, gaining almost $12,000 in interest in just 5 years. Take a look at those Acorns and M1 Finance links I've got down there in the description. Super easy to get started investing, and I highly encourage you to get started as early as you can, even if it's not a lot of money. And this is just for the first 5 years. If you were to continue on for 10 years, this would amount to about $212,000, again at that 6% rate of return. And for reference, the stock market averages around 10% return per year, so my 6% that I'm using in these calculations is pretty conservative. Next rule I've got here is my own. And for my rule, I think you should have at least a 6-month emergency fund, invest 15% of your gross income into your 401k, and max out both your Roth IRA and ideally your HSA, but I'm going to leave that HSA portion as optional as you have to have a high deductible health savings plan. And I know that this seems like quite a lot of saving and investing, and it kind of is, but I don't give you any monthly percentage rule that you have to stick to in terms of spending. I would rather you save more money and spend less, obviously, for financial speaking. And once you hit these saving goals, it's kind of up to you to decide if you want to spend more of your monthly income on a car, or if you'd rather go out to dinner more, go on more vacations, or buy more junk on Amazon, whatever you want to do. And that 6-month emergency fund is there just because I think if you've got a ton of payments, it's nice to have 6 months of your living expenses covered up, especially if you're in an industry such as like sales or commission-based, something where that monthly paycheck isn't always the same and it's harder to plan. And a lot of people argue back to me on some of these goals, and they say that, hey, nothing's guaranteed. I want to live my life how I want to now because tomorrow might not come. And that's definitely true that nothing is guaranteed at all, but the average American lives to about 78 years old. So from a technical position here, you're probably going to need that money. Most likely, you're going to live sometime in your 70s, even beyond that. So you're going to be thanking your younger self if you start investing now. Next rule I'll be going over is the Dave Ramsey rule. He thinks you should have a 3 to 6 month emergency fund built up. The car shouldn't be more than 50% of your annual gross income, and you should purchase it all in cash. Given that the 2023 Porsche Cayenne's MSRP is about $72,200, you would need to make a minimum of $145K a year to buy something like this. And ideally, there's a couple of pros when it comes to buying a vehicle in cash, is you would avoid having to pay that $4,600 in interest, and your insurance would be a little bit lower. But obviously, not everybody's got 72 grand in cash. I'd say that a pretty rare amount of people do, that they can put towards a car all up front. And there's a good chance that you could make more money if you actually financed it and put the difference in the market instead. But the key here is you actually have to have that difference and put it in the market. Final rule we'll be going over is the 1/10 rule, which was developed by Financial Samurai. Personally, one that I think the majority of people that are trying to build their wealth as quick as they can should pay attention to. It really doesn't allow you to buy a new vehicle, but it's set up to help you spend responsibly with the goal of reducing your financial ownership stress, which helps increase your net worth over time a lot faster. This rule is pretty straightforward. It states that you shouldn't spend more than 10% of your gross income on a car. It can be new or old, but obviously for the vast majority of people, it's probably going to be used. And you need to own it for at least 5 years, but ideally more. And the theory behind this here is to help minimize your financial stress. Free up a little bit of money to invest in assets or opportunities that are going to come your way. Basically anything that goes up in value. It's nice to have the cash on standby, and then you can deploy it when a good deal or a good opportunity comes your way. It's much more stressful and difficult making life decisions when you're worried about payments each and every month. Once again, this is 4 Wheel Finance. If you got any questions regarding car buying or how much of a car you can afford, please leave them down there in the comments below. And don't forget to go leave a look at that Smart Financial link. It's an auto insurance quote that's completely free. It takes like 20 or 30 seconds to fill out, and you could actually save a little bit of money, up to about $600 a year.